Did you know that your mind actually operates a lot like a computer? And it can actually only do what it's programmed to do. And that programming dictates your beliefs, your actions, and ultimately your success. In this video, I'm going to share with you how I've used visualization and hypnosis to reprogram my mind, and how that's helped me to fast track my goals and fundamentally change my life. Visualization for me starts with my environment. And typically for me, I'm spending the most amount of hours in my office here at home. Now, I'll show you a couple of visuals. Hopefully these show up okay on the camera. I mean, this is quite rudimentary printing, by the way. We've not got like a photo printer, but those are pictures of my wife and I, Elaine. Now, I look at those pictures every day. Yes, we have family pictures up on the wall, but I sit very intentionally thinking and saying certain things to those pictures. Now, also, this isn't the exact house that we're working towards, like our dream home and our forever home, but these are similar attributes that are on these pictures here of how we want the kitchen to look, how we want the outside of the house to look. And again, the same thing when I'm looking at pictures of Elaine and I'm looking at these pictures in similar vein. Now, other things around my office, I'm not going to take you on a tour because the lighting's not very good outside of this shot, but all around my whiteboard that's on the wall, I have particular phrases, particular words that Elaine actually printed and laminated and stuck around the whole room. And now these get changed every so often, depending on the season or the things that we're pushing towards. And then another tool that I use for visualization is actually a subliminal messaging app that's here on my Mac that I use. And I can't remember, I think it's every 7 seconds or maybe less, a particular word or phrase actually comes up on the screen. So whenever I'm working in front of my computer, the whole time I am getting these subliminal messages. So things that I want to believe, things that I want to chase down, goals that I have. So my own computer that I'm using for quite a lot of hours is programming me with beliefs and affirmations that I want to internalize. It's quite powerful stuff. Now, hypnosis has also been a real game changer for me. Game changer sounds cheesy, actually. It's been life-changing. Genuinely, I'm not just throwing these things out there for, to amplify the video. I'm sincerely sharing things that have been extremely profound in moving my life, my wife's life, and everyone that's close to us in forwards. Now, I use it to implant new ideas, things that I want to embrace, and perhaps old beliefs that I want to unpick that no longer serve me. And also, it's been a really powerful tool for burying constructive thoughts deep into my subconscious. And this is the really cool thing. The more years I've spent understanding, studying, and spending times with people that specialize in doing this one thing and dedicate their life to it, the more I realize that our minds are like computers, or maybe less like computers and maybe more like software. And I think a little bit like computers and the software that they have on them. If we want our computer to do different things, or if we want different results, we have to change or upgrade the programming or the programs that are on that particular computer. My first conscious experience of mental programming was during my military training in 2007. The instructors, the curriculum, and the environment were all designed to program us for success. Every day we were told that we were the best, how we don't give up, and how we were capable of so much more than we currently believed. That was a revelation for me, personally. You might be watching and thinking, well, duh. That's what the military is all about. It's about subconscious programming. I'd not experienced that. I'd not got any family, that are in the military. And if you've watched one of my other videos, I talk a little bit about, how I actually, came about joining the military. And it was on a whim. I did very little research, to be honest. And so for me, going into that environment was the most amazing thing I'd ever experienced. And to be honest, before joining the military, I didn't really believe I was very bright. ultimately, because I didn't achieve many GCSEs, which is a UK-based form of, GCSEs are slightly different in America. I don't know what Americans call it, but GCSEs are a way of testing children between sort of 15 and 17 years old to see how good they are at particular subjects. Anyway, the short and the thick of it is I didn't do very well. Truth is, I wasn't very interested at school. There's too much sitting down, having to listen to boring, dreary people versus things that I wanted to do outside. And as well as that, I was actually working in the family business from being about 11 years old, 12 years old. And I would basically walk back from school every evening, take my school jumper off, and I would actually work inside of the shop that we had in town, serving people, selling them things, helping them with things. And that felt like a far better way to spend my time and my mental capacity than sat listening to orders given by people that had things that I didn't desire. Maybe, I don't know if people of that age, usually think in that manner, but that was certainly something that I was feeling and experiencing at the time. But yeah, back to my experience of, being told all of these great things in the military, the sheer intensity of what I've, formerly named brute force, programming, it transformed my confidence, my belief in myself, how I looked at the world, how I treated other people, absolutely everything. Now, the first time I actually came across hypnosis was actually during my second phase of military training. So once you pass basic training, which is classed as phase 1, typically you go on to what's called phase 2 training, is where you go and learn your trade. Now, at the time, I actually suffered quite a serious injury. I was part of the field gun team for the Royal Air Force, and I think it was during training or something had happened, but I ended up collapsed in my bed with the most severe pain running through my neck and my head. Anyway, I got checked over and I ended up having to get taken in an ambulance to the local military hospital. I had a suspected bleed on the brain, and then the procedure basically to check if that was true or not was, you'd have a lumbar puncture, which is a big needle that goes into your back, take some spinal fluid, and they check it all over. There's a bunch of other things that I had done. And you can imagine, young man, quite scared, away from home, had all this stuff ahead of me, I felt like I'd sort of hit rock bottom. Anyway, the test came back, there was nothing wrong, and then I was basically ordered to take bed rest, which I did. I went home and I was told that I would get back coursed, which is basically put onto whatever course was at the same point that I'd left on. So I would not go through with my buddies that I'd been through on basic training with. And it was like 6 weeks, I think, something like that. Anyway, I'm not a person that likes to sit around and wait for things to happen. So, I was laid up in bed, still in quite a lot of pain in my back, my neck and my head and stuff from whatever, I'd had going on. And I started to Google. This is like 24, 36 hours after I'd got home. So I started Googling, researching, how can I speed up my recovery? And this is when I came across a lot of articles that were talking about the power of the mind and how the mind has control over how fast we learn things, digest things. It controls who we are, how fast we heal, how fast we recover. Naturally, this took a lot of my attention. After an hour or two, I ended up on Amazon after doing some research that hypnosis was the fastest way to get into this part of my mind and reprogram it. And I bought a CD. Some of you are thinking, what is a CD? For those that are in their 40s and their late 30s, like us, then you'll be thinking, I love my CD collection. But I actually bought a CD called Overcoming Stress or Overcome Stress by a British hypnotist called Glenn Harold. Glenn Harold, I'm at a loss to how many hours worth of Glenn's voice I've listened to since 2008. Yes, 2008, I think, when I grabbed this CD. I've honestly lost count. But I listened to that CD arrive very quickly. And I listened to that CD 5, 6, 7 times in a day for like a week straight, whilst doing some exercises that I perhaps shouldn't have been doing. But it all worked out. I went from having this 6-week recovery window, and I phoned base after a week and asked them, can I come back and be tested and assessed? Because I want to, don't want to be back coursed. I want to be back in with the boys. I don't want to be doing the thing. Sure enough, I went back, got tested, go after it, do it. And I was so happy with myself. You can only imagine how chuffed I was that I managed to speed up my recovery. And I never told anybody. I never told anybody that I was serving with that that's what I'd actually done at the time. I have in later years, once I'd left. Because I think, honestly, I might have been laughed at. But there was something else. There was something else that had happened. It wasn't just the physical recovery. I felt like a different person. And I didn't know how to put my finger on it, when I was much younger. Because I'm talking about nearly 20 years ago. But I fundamentally felt like everything had changed. Everything. And not just that, when I rejoined the team, I joined my course, passed with flying colours. I got awards. I've got some pictures somewhere, of me and, one of my best friends at the time, winning. It's called the Silver Salver Award. I actually won that. It's rarely given. I actually won that. And I did so well through, basic training, then trade training. And I just felt different. I felt more grounded. I felt more powerful. I felt more clarity, with what I wanted from my life. Why visualization and hypnosis then? Well, as far as I've experienced, and I get that this is going to be different for everybody. This isn't me telling you, you should do this. I mean, try it. By all means. I've tried it and I've done it for years and I've found nothing but benefit inside of it. But, both methods, and then there's the brute force of some sort of external telling you, how great you're doing as well. Visualization for me, is very important. I'm a very visual person, so I enjoy looking at pictures. Give me a box of crayons. It's almost like it creates a constant mental reminder, of what you're working towards. Whilst hypnosis buries and embeds those beliefs deep into your subconscious. And again, by my standards, together, they create a very powerful feedback loop. Now, in our coaching and consulting business, I try to encourage at least those that are open-minded to it and maybe consider themselves to be suggestible to try these methods, whether it's visualization, whether it's hypnosis, whether it's a combination of the both. I understand they're not for everybody. I understand you have to have some level of belief that these things will work in order for them to work. But I really do believe at least one of these methods can really fast track your results. Now, you'll see very successful sports people. I've seen gymnasts do this, of where they visualize themselves rolling on the mat, going over the horse and doing all of their tumbles. They've played it through in their mind thousands and thousands of times before they've executed it in real life. And this is no different to looking at the things that you want to achieve for yourself, because that's exactly what that is. You're looking at the plays, and I can imagine football players, baseball players do this. And it's funny because even now I'm just realizing, I'd not even made note about this, but you would play through, like when I was in the military, they would actually get you to close your eyes and imagine dismantling your weapon and putting it back together and cleaning it and firing it, and the way you would breathe and putting all of your efforts and your power down range, onto the target. Very, very powerful. Very powerful, because if you've already attempted and seen yourself doing this stuff a number of times, then the chances are you'll be able to manifest this into your reality. Anyway, I'm straying too much. The main point, of this, the key really of your success lies in upgrading the way that your mind is programmed. Whether that's through visualization, whether that's through hypnosis, whether that's through a combination of both. My experience personally has been it's helped me unlock potential that I didn't even know was there previously. My advice would be, start small, experiment, put some trust into some of these things, because I'm not the only person, in the whole wide world that will be giving you, some positive effects around, me trying this stuff myself. It's been life-changing for me. It might be life-changing for you too.